Um, okay, so hello everyone who's here so far. We have about, someone asked in the chat, we have about 87, 88 people here already. Welcome to the SRHacks 2022 opening ceremony. Oh, happy birthday to the person who said they're turning 12 tomorrow. Yeah, welcome to the opening ceremony 2022 SRHacks. Very exciting. Great to be here. Hope you all are having a great day. Welcome to any registrants, parents, guardians, even teachers who are here, general public as well. Welcome. We're going to be going over a bit about who we are, what we're doing, what this competition is about, and some housekeeping items for you, and also how to get started. So I'm going to first introduce the Science Rendezvous team. SRHacks is engineering and coding competition, right, running this year. Obviously, you're already registered for that, but it's part of Science Rendezvous at the University of Toronto, right? So Science Rendezvous is an annual festival where it's a large festival. We help spread youth science awareness across the GTA. The festival this year will take place on May 7th. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know that we are part of Science Rendezvous at the University of Toronto. So I'll be your host. My name is Blake Chofi. Weird pronunciation on the last name, maybe. Everyone gets it wrong. But I'm just a bit about me. I'm a fourth-year student at the University of Toronto. I'm studying astronomy and physics. Pretty cool. So going over a bit of the agenda today, I'll just be talking about what SRHacks is, so competition details, this year's theme, which was already posted on the website. You may already know about it. I'll also be talking about getting help with your projects via Discord, and also via our wonderful mentors. And we're also going to have a little talk and Q&A session run by Dean Christopher Yip. He's the Dean of Faculty of Applied Science and Engineering. Pretty exciting, pretty great guest to have as well for this type of competition. You know, I was participating in SRHacks. Well, I helped volunteer for SRHacks last year, so it's great to be back this year. Very excited for the competition so far for this year. So let's get started and talk about the actual competition. So what is SRHacks? Some of you may already know what it is from last year, returning registrants, but some people are new here as well. So just a bit of background info. SRHacks stands for Science Rendezvous Hackathon. It's a coding and engineering competition geared towards middle school students within the GTA. Like was already mentioned, it was founded last year in 2021. And this year, we're going to be having a 2-week-long competition with teams as well. So, you know, I mentioned it's the Science Rendezvous Hackathon, right? But what is a hackathon actually? So a hackathon is essentially an event where computer programmers, engineers, graphic designers, any other you know, collaborators from different disciplines come together and intensively work on some type of software project, right? Engineering project. Typically, hackathons are much more intensive. They're mainly geared towards an older audience with, you know, and they're pretty challenging in nature, require a lot of collaboration among other people. I personally haven't participated in a hackathon yet, but I have heard of other people who have. So we wanted to sort of bring that experience down to younger kids, right? Typically hackathons are for, like I said, older individuals, people with a bit more experience in computer programming engineering. But we sort of wanted to give that, we sort of wanted you guys to have the opportunity to do that at a relatively young age, right? So that's why we designed SRHacks from last year, and that's why we're continuing to have it as an annual competition. We think it's a great opportunity for you to hone your computer programming or engineering skills, even potentially learn about it. And we sort of see it as a stepping stone to achieving really great and significant things later on in the future. Even though it may seem a bit small now, I think it's very important, very interesting. So yeah, that's some background on the name of SRHacks, how it was funded. So now I'm going to be talking about a few competition details. So for this competition, participants, will be working on projects within your own groups, right? As was mentioned on the website in the recruitment emails, right? You're going to be working on a project in groups. More details on that will be provided later on. We also have some learning events as well. We have workshops and mentors that will be available to help you with your projects. Extra help can be found on Discord as well. We did send an email to you yesterday about reminding you of the Discord link, joining Discord. So if you haven't done that yet, please do so, but we will be discussing that later on in the presentation, and we'll give you an opportunity to join it later on as well. We also have our SR Hack-Off, which is an in-person event where the top 5 finalists will present their products and their projects in person to our wonderful judges. So that's really great opportunity as well. It's in person, which is great. Last year it was online, but this year we booked a room on the U of T campus, very nice building, engineering building. So it's going to be pretty great. It's going to be also judged on the spot. So that's pretty exciting. Now, more details on these items right now, actually. So on the topic of learning, the second item from the last slide, I completely forgot what it was called, but we have workshops that are going to be run. We have 3 in total for this competition. We have a workshop teaching coding fundamentals, where you learn the basics of coding and software development. That's going to be today, April 23rd, 3 to 4 p.m. We will have a QR code presented at the end of the presentation, just so you can access, or just so you can register for the workshop. But we have already sent the links out via email, and we can also send it on Discord as well. But yeah, look forward to the workshop today at 3 p.m. if you can join. We also have the Engineering at Home workshop. That's going to be basically talking about learning to design engineering projects with household items relevant to our competition this year. That's going to be held from 1 to 2 p.m. tomorrow, April 23rd. Again, we have the registration link for that provided in the email. We can also provide it to you via Discord. You can also email us, message us, let us know if you don't have it. We can provide it for you on an individual basis if you don't have it. We also have the graphic design workshop. That's going to be April 30th from 1 to 2 p.m. You'll learn to communicate ideas with presentable text and figures, right? Making your product or project presentable to an audience, right? Making it visually appealing, right? So all these workshops will be geared towards a specific topic or a specific discipline that you're going to sort of mend together in your projects with your groups, right? We're going to be going over specific roles and specific duties of each group, and we'll sort of tie it together with the workshops that we'll be hosting. Yes, sorry, correction from Mimi. The graphic design workshop is at 2 p.m. So 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Yes, it should be reflected in the link that we sent you via email. We can also provide you with the registration link again, if again, you don't have it or you need it. So moving on from there, I did mention we had the SR Hack-Off, which is an in-person event. We're going to have the top 5 groups, the finalists, be invited to give about a 5-minute presentation, 5 to 10-minute presentation to our judges and the public. Yes, we are going to invite the public as well to this event. Prizes will be awarded, and I guess cute little thing is we're going to have a title of Most Talented Student Innovator for the winner of the competition. Now, something I do want to mention is we got many questions about this last year, and I expect we're going to have some questions this year about it, but we are going to give out participation certificates to all people who submitted projects this year. So that's something that we're going to do, just so you have a record that you actually participated in SRHacks, right? So even if you aren't a finalist this year, you'll still get a participation certificate certifying that you did participate in the competition this year. Okay, moving on from there, rules and eligibility, just to sort of clarify, make sure we're on the same page about that. So who is eligible? Students from the GTA between grades 6 to 8. We do have some exceptions from students who requested to join. We were lenient with that. So there is a bit of a mix between students who are maybe grade 5, but we wanted to make sure that all students had the opportunity to participate in a competition like this. So we accepted registrants who may be like who may diverge from that age range a bit upon request. So how big is each team? Well, on the website and on the recruitment emails that we sent out, the teams are going to be up to 4 students. And another question that I think is a pretty common one is, do we need to know any specific knowledge for the competition? No, short answer. We're going to have workshops, mentors. We're going to have a lot of support for you guys. So even if you're new to coding or engineering, as long as you have that interest in it, totally fine. You should be totally fine. We're going to have a lot of support for you. Now, something I want to mention, just so it's clear, we did have a few questions about it regarding the student groups. One thing to note is that the groups aren't mandatory. You can choose to work alone. You can choose to work in a group of 2 or 3. It's up to you and your group members. But for a group of 4 is like the cap, right? Is like the threshold. Now, we also got questions about actually forming teams with individuals. So if you already have a team with people, then that's totally fine. When you submit a project, you're going to indicate who your team members are, right? So your team members don't need to be like set in stone right now. They can sort of change throughout, but you're going to indicate your team when you guys submit the final projects. And we'll sort of facilitate the team formation as well via Discord and email if you guys are looking for a team. So moving on from that, we have our judges and awards. So each project will be reviewed by multiple judges to ensure fair scoring. This is going to be separate from the SRHackoff, right? We need to decide the top 5 finalists first before we can get you guys to present at the SRHackoff, right? So we have a bunch of judges who are going to be marking your projects right after you submit them, and we're going to decide the top 5 finalists from there. Each student will receive their judges' comments and scores. Top 5 finalists will be selected and invited to the SRHackoff, and these finalists will give about like 5 to 10-minute presentations, talks about their products and their project to compete for prizes. And it's not mentioned here, but on the information package we do list the prize amounts. First place is $150, second place $100, third place $50, and fourth and fifth place $20. Again, that's in the information package, which you should have received yesterday. So what do you need to submit? So we talked about, working on a project, right, for SRHacks, but what do you actually need to submit? Well, you're going to submit a short video of your project prototype showing how it works, right? You're also going to be submitting a written description of your product, about 500 words. And this is optional, but we do encourage you to do it. We're going to be, you're also going to be doing a marketing poster showing how you would advertise your product to the public or a larger audience, right? And we do get questions about this. We expect questions about this, so we're going to address it now. There will be a link sent to you later in the competition where you can submit your projects. Probably a week from now, it's going to be in the form of a Google form. You're just going to submit your project via that and indicate your group members as well. So I want to go over some team roles now. I mentioned, we talked about some workshops that we have, right? Coding, engineering, design, and graphic design workshops. That sort of ties in with the team roles and team duties that we're going to be having for this competition, right? So we as a team divided up group responsibilities into 4 different categories, right? We have the leader, researcher, builder, and designer. So the leader is obviously the leader. They sort of manage the team, they lead the team, right? Organizing items, managing team members, things like that. We have the researcher. They're going to be in charge of collecting information, right, and leading the writing of the written report, right? We're also going to be, there are going to be more details about each specific role in relation to the competition theme in a bit. But for now, we also have the builder. That's going to be the lead design and construction of the prototype. And we have the designer, which is basically it's the graphics design aspect of the project, right? Making sure that prototypes are user-friendly and presentable. It can also tie in with the optional poster that you do, right? So yeah, something to note is that we label these as roles, but really you within your groups can decide what you want to do, right? So you don't have to choose a specific role and just do things within that role, right? You can sort of mix and match, right? It's sort of like you can do a combination of things from different roles, right? We're just highlighting that these are the duties and responsibilities that you would have within a team that we think are the most important ones, right? And it'll be nice to have this sort of structure within your teams as well when you do go about working on your projects, right? So from there, I want to mention some competition items. The registration closes on April 23rd today. The opening ceremony happening right now, 1 to 2 p.m. Project submission deadline is May 8th at 8 p.m. So that's actually 1 day after the Science Rendezvous Annual Festival, which is May 7th. So we also have the announcement of the top 5 finalists on May 14th. Then we have the SRHack Day showcase of top finalists on May 21st from 1 to 4 p.m. And that's going to be at the Myhall Center for Innovation and Engineering. It's a very, very nice building, nicest building on campus, on the St. George University of Toronto campus. I go there quite often. It's pretty nice. So yeah, look forward to that event. Again, it's going to be available to the public as well. It's also going to be live streamed. So we're going to have a public audience in person as well as online. So yeah, look forward to that. Yeah, something else to note, we have 220 plus students signed, great number, great number of teams as well that'll come out of that. Really excited for that. So I also want to talk about this year's theme. So last year's theme for the competition, maybe some of you have already known, since you participated last year. That theme was basically improving the lives of individuals during quarantine, during the pandemic, right? But this year we sort of also having like significant impact. We're going to sort of make it about sustainable communities, right? So the theme is going to be fostering sustainable communities, right? Tackling issues related to disposable waste, It's going to be related to environmental sustainability and the impact of disposable waste, right? It's kind of a vague description of what the theme is right now, but I sort of wanted to have it that way, and we're going to talk a bit about that why in a bit, but I do want to mention the inspiration behind the theme. My team and I, we were talking about what theme we should do for this competition, and then a member suggested looking at the UN Sustainable Development Goals, right? Basically, all this is just 17 main goals highlighted by the UN that they believe are very pressing issues that need to be resolved on a worldwide scale at the moment. So we thought that was a great opportunity for you guys. So we really honed in on, number 7, affordable clean energy, number 11, sustainable cities and communities, 12, responsible consumption and production, as well as 13, 14, 15, right? The result of those, the result of irresponsible consumption, right? And the impact on sustainable communities and cities. We think that these are very important issues in the world right now. So we thought, hey, well, maybe we should gear this competition towards this, right? So that's exactly what the competition is going to be about. And sort of tying this with the roles that we have for each group, right? So we had leader, researcher, builder, and designer, right? The researcher, and the reason why I didn't really reveal much detail about the theme is because the researcher is going to be in charge, or your groups are going to be in charge of actually researching the current issues that are related to disposable waste and issues with disposable waste, right? That researching is going to be your part, in your group's part, right? You're going to be researching that, you're going to be researching the issues related to that. Then the building aspect of the project is going to be actually taking that research, taking what you researched, the negative impacts of it, and then thinking of ways to sort of construct a product to tackle those issues that you identified, right? So that's going to be like, the researching is going to be like the motivation for what you're going to be designing and building. And then the building aspect is actually going to be making it, right? And obviously the leader role, self-explanatory in the group, we're gonna have a leader. And the designer role is, again, graphic design, so making the product visual appealing as well. But what I really want to highlight is that the researching role and the building role are going to be heavily correlated, right, in relation to the theme of trying to figure out issues currently with disposable waste and trying to address them with the product that you design, right? And I also want to emphasize that, you don't need to design, we're not really expecting you to design like a product that can really solve a very, very big worldwide issue, like within a span of 2 weeks. That's pretty intense. You guys are just grade 6 and 8 students, so we don't expect you to come up with like full-fledged solutions of certain issues that you identified, obviously, right? These hackathons or this competition is meant for designing products to tackle issues on, a smaller scale, right? That could have like potential larger implications for, designing things on a much larger scale, right? The idea here is to sort of develop the skills necessary to then eventually tackle issues on a much larger scale, right? But we think that these are very important stepping stones for that. Competition provides a great opportunity for that. Even if the projects will be small scale in nature, we think it's very important skill development and learning and honing skills. Yeah. So I also want to mention some available resources that we have to help you sort of with the projects that you'll be doing within the competition. We have, again, the learning workshops. I already outlined them earlier. 3 workshops geared towards coding, engineering, and graphic design, right? Again, they all relate to the roles that you're going to have in your groups. We also have the mentor help sessions. Those are going to be via Zoom and Discord, right? So, it's going to be a time where you can ask mentors for one-on-one help or in a small group. Then we also have our Discord server, which is a Science Rendezvous run Discord server. It has all our mentors, it has all our SRHack staff in it. So if you have any questions about anything, like about your project or the competition, you can just shoot a message in that Discord server. We'll reply pretty promptly because it is in Discord. It's a very organized messaging platform. But of course, you can also email us to the SRHacks email account on our website and the one that we use for communication. That's also another option as well. On the mention of drop-in sessions, we have our wonderful SRHack mentors who will be available during office hours to help you with your projects. We have allocated time slots throughout the 2-week period of the competition to help students, or 4 office hours to help students with their projects. Our mentors are STEM students. STEM means science, technology, forgot the E, oh, engineering, yes, and mathematics. I think that's engineering. Yeah, anyway, science related things. We have students, undergraduate students, graduate students, I think as well from the University of Toronto, who are going to help with providing guidance and advice to you as competitors for your projects, right? You can shoot them a message anytime you want on Discord. You can email our SRHacks Gmail account, or you can hop into their drop-in sessions. Yeah, speaking of drop-in sessions, yes, they're going to be on Zoom and Discord. So again, they're going to be one-on-one sessions or sessions within small groups where you can discuss questions that you have with mentors, right? And of course, we also have our workshops as well. That'll sort of give you advice, or like general advice, maybe show you some demonstrations as well. And then, the drop-in sessions will be more for specific questions that you have about your project as you're working on it, right? So again, we will have support throughout the competition. So even if you're like completely lost about what to do, there will always be someone to help you out. So don't feel any pressure or stress from that at all. Obviously, it could be stressful, but nothing to worry about on that front. We do have support for you, and we will have support for you. Okay, so I mentioned a bunch about these office hours, but now we're actually going to give dates for them. These are the dates for the office hours. They are included in the information package as well. So we have the 27th from 6 to 7 p.m. We have May 1st from 2 to 4 p.m. We have May 4th from 6 to 7 p.m. Then we also have May 8th, the last day to work on your projects from 2 to 4 p.m. That's sort of like a last minute rush kind of thing. These are the set dates for drop-in office hours. But obviously, last year we had instances where mentors would hop in with students on Discord calls or Zoom calls, like just out of the blue, just to address specific questions. So these drop-in sessions are for everyone to sort of drop into, but obviously if you do have specific questions, then maybe it'll be easier to answer the questions via chat, like via Discord voice channel or a Zoom call, then that's definitely something we can arrange with our SRHack staff or our mentors. So that's something also to keep in mind, again, reinforcing that there will always be support for you. Okay, so I also want to provide you with some resources. We have the general information package, the website, and the Discord link. So if you scan the QR codes, they'll take you to the respective item that I listed here. Something to note about Discord for any parents, guardians, or actually registrants here. Discord is a messaging platform. It's kind of similar to like Facebook Messenger, except you don't post like public things. It's just like the messaging side of Facebook. It's basically a platform where students can interact with each other as well as the Science Rendezvous staff. So Discord is for ages 13 and up. So if you are under 13 of age, we do say that we do ask that you make an account with your parent or guardian, right? So the account that you make will sort of be like your parent or guardian's account, right? And then they can sort of occasionally monitor, your account on Discord, right? Just because Discord is age restricted, right? It's only age restricted for like safety reasons, but nothing really to worry about. The SRHacks Discord server is solely for registrants and parents or guardians and teachers as well, if they want to join, as well as SRHacks staff and Science Rendezvous staff. So it is going to be restricted to us only, people within the competition and our staff as well. So nothing to worry about like, privacy issues or anything like that. It's just a formality getting parents or guardians to sign up with their own accounts so that they can allow their child to, join our Discord, interact with other individuals, registrants of the competition and our staff, and also join our drop-in sessions on Discord. So yeah, I'll give you a few seconds to sort of scan those codes if you want. Maybe like, I'll give you like about 30 seconds or something to scan those because we already left them up for a bit. But yeah, again, we have our general information package, our website, and the Discord link. If you do scan the Discord link, it'll just direct you to the registration page for Discord. So once you register for Discord, it'll just automatically take you to the Science Rendezvous Discord channel. It'll be automatically put into it, nothing else. You'll just have access to the Science Rendezvous Discord channel where we have all our registrants and all our SRHacks staff, no one else. Like, just us. It's a restricted channel just for us. We're only sharing the link with registrants. So I'll give you guys a few more seconds in case you maybe want to get some things. But yeah, also these links have been provided as well in the email. So yeah, these are just in case you don't have them yet, or maybe you just don't want to check your email. You can just easily scan it and get the links from these QR codes, right? Yeah, again, the Discord server on SRHacks, our SRHacks Discord server is going to be heavily monitored, right, by our SRHacks staff. It's just going to be our SRHacks staff included, right, and the registrants included, as well as their parents or guardians and their teachers. No one else, right? Just us. It's basically like Facebook Messenger, essentially, except it's restricted to just us because we're only sharing the link with people who are within our competition, right? So again, just to reiterate that, in case there are any issues with privacy or anything, not to worry. And again, if you are under 13 years of age, you do need to register with a parent or guardian, just to make sure that we abide by Discord policy. So from there, I'm going to move on from here. If there's anyone who wants to sign the QR code again, just let us know, and then I'll happily go back to the slide later on. But I do want to say right now a huge thank you to the SRHacks team and our sponsors as well. So the SRHacks team consisted of me, Ethan Lee, Jenny Wu, Emily Chang, and Taha as well. I think all of them, most of them are here at the moment, but yeah, huge shout out to them. Big help for the competition. I also want to give a thanks to the co-chairs Eduardo and Mimi, who are also here, as well as members from the volunteer team, logistics team, and promotions team as well. I think, oh, wrong slide. Yeah, I think Sabrina is here from the logistics team. Great help from those individuals. Just wanted to give a thanks to them. And I also want to give a thanks to our sponsors, obviously Science Rendezvous, obviously University of Toronto, and CERC. Yes. So from there, don't forget to register for our coding workshop happening today from 3 to 4 p.m. EST. It's going to be hosted by Jacob Taylor, He's a graduate student from the Department of Astronomy and Astrophysics at the University of Toronto. Pretty cool. He does a lot of like astronomy instrumentation, works with a lot of instruments related to astronomy, does a lot of coding as well. He's also taught coding as well to a younger audience. So yeah, I think it's a great fit for this workshop. It's going to be super exciting. He's also going to show you some really cool astronomy applications to coding and engineering, very impactful applications as well, just to highlight the importance of coding and engineering, right? So also look forward to that. Pretty cool. There's also going to be a Q&A session as well that you'll have with Jacob. You can ask him any question you want about his research, anything like that. Pretty cool opportunity, if I do say so myself. So yeah, we are a bit early for time. So I want to ask maybe the SRHacks staff here if there are any questions related to the competition itself before we get the keynote speaker to give a little quick presentation. I just want to know if there may be any questions about the competition that students may have had throughout. If maybe I should go over something else that maybe students are unsure about. Just let me know. And I think while I wait for that, I'm going to sort of keep this resources page open for the Discord link, website, and general information package, just so it's there. So yeah.
So I just have a couple of things I want to add in. So based on the chat and the questions we've had, just before we put Team Yip on. So general announcements. Number one, you don't need to code. And number two, you don't need to be Elon Musk. So I've had a lot of questions where students are like, oh, I have an idea where I want to solve something, but I need Elon Musk level or Bill Gates level engineering skills. I want to build an entire house. You don't need to build an entire house. If you have this idea and, for example, you want to build an entire house, you can take a cardboard box and then you can put lights in it, and then you can kind of show how this house is going to work. You don't have to build an entire house. You only have 2 weeks. Like, people don't build houses in 2 weeks. If you want to, so we are encouraging you. So basically when you submit this project, you're handing in a video. So the video is going to be you and your group or just one of you, and you're going to be showing us how your thing works and what problem it's going to be solving. So first you're going to tell us what problem you're trying to solve that is a problem in this world that is about sustainability or being eco-friendly, and then you're going to tell us what your solution is, and your solution needs to be something that is an invention that works. So that means if you're going to build something physical, it has to be made from household items. So household items means that if you can find it in your house, you also want to make sure that other people can find it in their houses. So you can go outside and buy things, but if you want to make sure if it's a household item, ask yourself, is this something that your friends will have, and your relatives are had, or your cousins are also going to have in their house? And if you know that they also have this in their house, then it's a household item. If you want to, if you don't want to build a physical model and you want to do coding, you can code, but you still have to send us a video of how it works. So whatever you code, we're not going to read over your code. We're going to see what the code is doing. So your code, if you are going to code, the code needs to work and the code needs to solve the problem the same way a physical model would. So if this is something you want to do, you can do that. You would just have to send us basically a screen recording of how the code works. So if that's something you want to do, you're welcome to do that. So those are your options. I hope that answers your questions.
Right, just to add as well. So in the coding workshop today, Jacob's going to be going over fundamental coding concepts. I did see some mentions of like non-real models for engineering. Yeah, like Mimi said, we will, and is in the information package as well, we are allowing you to use things like Tinkercad or Godot, which are basically, well, there's also something else, but I forgot what it's called, but it essentially things like Tinkercad, right, to sort of build three-dimensional models, but that also incorporates some coding as well. but you can still build like just simple three-dimensional models on them. So there are options to sort of build models like virtually as well. It doesn't really have to be with household items. It can also be like virtual models as well, but it would just have to be relevant to the competition, right? And yeah, like Mimi said, we're not trying to solve like really, we're not trying to like solve huge issues in the world, right? You're given 2 weeks, your grade 6 to 8 students. We're not looking for anything that's like extremely world changing, right? That's beyond the scope of this hackathon, but it's going to be like a smaller scale project. You can tackle an issue similar to the example that Mimi gave with the house, or you can also design a product just to maybe like sort of spread some awareness of and shed light on some issues that are currently affecting the world right now, since we are allowing some coding-based projects to be incorporated in the submissions. So yeah, from there, I think it is time to introduce our keynote speaker. And again, if you have additional questions, just message in the chat, message in the Q&A. That'll be easier for us. Message in the Q&A, and then we'll get back to those questions near the end or whenever we can. So I want to introduce the keynote speaker now, Dean Christopher Yip. He's the Dean for the Faculty of Applied Science and Engineering at the University of Toronto. We're very excited to have him here. He was a keynote speaker last year for the opening ceremony as well. Very nice to see him return this year. Very happy to have him here with us. He's going to give a quick presentation, a quick talk, and then we're going to have a Q&A session at the end where you can ask Christopher Yip any questions that you want. So yeah, without further ado, please give a very, very big warm welcome to Christopher Yip.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Blake. Mimi, did you want to throw my video? Let's see, my video is on. Do you want to make me I can't see myself, or you guys can see me right now. Do you just have your, oh, there we go.
You're on the spotlight. There
perfect, I'm spotlit. All right, perfect. Technology at its best. Thanks, Blake. Thanks, Mimi. Thanks, everybody from SRHacks for inviting me this afternoon on a bit of a gloomy Saturday afternoon. To sort of give you a bit of a spiel about engineering opportunities and so on. And as Blake introduced, I'm the Dean of the Faculty of Applied Science and Engineering here at U of T. There's an interesting analogy, kind of like the principal of a school, but actually I'm going to say it's kind of like running an entire, I don't know, a company, a business, an entire university. Engineering at U of T, it's big. We're more than 5,000 undergraduate students, another 3,000 grad students. We're about 13,000 people that all of who are interested in science, technology, engineering, math, but also the arts. And I think that's what's really cool about engineering, is that we're a faculty which focuses obviously on the STEM, but we're actually adding a lot more of the A to give you kind of the STEAM analogy. And I think for those who are in the audience, for the students there, and actually for any parents who are listening, one of the cool things, and I hope Mimi, you're part of this, is the opportunity we give our students to do things which are outside of engineering. Actually, students doing minors in music, minors in public policy, all sorts of stuff that our students can actually do, which is really cool. Anyways, so what's cool is they're all doing degrees in engineering. You're learning a little bit about it now, but I think one of the cool things is actually, even when I came in to engineering, I didn't kind of know what it was all about. To me, it's all about learning how to learn and how to solve problems. And this is exactly what you guys are being given right now, this sort of 2-week challenge around sustainability. And as was pointed out, you're not trying to solve a massive problem. You got a short period of time to sort of sketch out some ideas, come up with some thoughts, come up with some prototypes, and just sort of envision what a possible solution is. I sent to Mimi a couple of tweets during the opening chat, which shows how engineering is embedded in this whole idea of sustainability. And that's really what you're focused on. We've got so many initiatives in the broad context of sustainability now in engineering that we're really leading the way, as it were. And solving and coming up with technologies which solve the problem of sustainability, I think, is actually a pretty critical one. I'm going to divert a little bit. during the chat about what is a hackathon, Blake, I know you sort of focus a little bit on software. And I was sending notes to Mimi. He's like, well, hackathons also include physical hacks. And I started thinking about sustainability in the physical hack world. And I started saying, well, what about can we reuse and repurpose things that we throw out as a way of improving sustainability? And anyone who's interested, I'm welcome you to come down to UT. Actually, maybe when we do the in-person thing, people can tour my lab and show you how we repurpose old lab equipment to make state-of-the-art equipment out of it, so that we're continuing that loop, right? We're not discarding and disposing of stuff. We're actually repurposing, rebuilding, and doing honestly physical hacks in my own lab to advance challenges in the sciences and engineering. Anyways, so that's just a little bit about what we're focused on. But I really want to, in a sense, you're already thinking as engineers, right? I want to talk about the impact you'll have as you're making this decision to kind of go into this field. And the analogy I have is I don't know, you guys can kind of see this. I mean, everybody's got one of these, because you're all going to be on the Discord server at some point. Is you've all got, well, maybe you all do have a smartphone, right? And you know the power, you've heard this before, the power that's in your hand of what it can do, right? What you can do today, you can order food, you can send message to your friends, you can take pictures, you can shoot video, you can code on it, you can run your apps, you can do tons of stuff. The power that's in your phone exceeds by thousands of times the compute power that took us to the moon, for instance. There's way more power in here than there were even the computers in the moon. There's even more power on here than, in fact, is driving a lot of the satellites and a lot of the interplanetary missions which are going right now, which have been going on for decades. The power inside of those compute power is below what's actually in your watch right now, to be honest. It's crazy. But what's amazing is sort of what the capabilities that are there. When I was your age, we didn't have this. In fact, we were still running, okay, this sort of tells you how old it is. We were still running on the idea of people having party phone lines where the distinctive ring, like kind of like an actual ringtone on your smartphone, was the way to tell which line, who the phone was actually ringing for. This was a little bit in a rural context, but it sort of shows you how fast technology is advancing. And it really sort of tells you a little bit about how it takes a team, just like what you guys are doing now, to kind of drive these sorts of initiatives. Things like the phone, the ability to find the right minerals and the metals that are required to make the elements, to make the electrical components which drive the phone. You're all going to be focused on software apps, that's writing the code, but this is still a physical device. There's all sorts of stuff in here which requires engineers to be involved. Where are those minerals located? How do I get them out of the ground? How do I purify them? How do I build them? How do I build the factories to supply them? Electrical computer engineering, which builds the circuits and designs the way that these phones are going to work. You think about the screen, right? I don't even know how many of you would have even seen an old tube television, that converting that to a flat panel that can run on your phone nowadays. And then obviously what you're sort of focused on now, which is designing and writing the apps. And then people realizing, I've got a phone, I can dial and call people on it. But what else can I do with this phone, right? What else can I do with a device like this, which allows you to do things which are unimaginable, right? Cell phones, as an example, have really brought the world to places that are incredibly remote, that did not have the ability to communicate, right? And now you have cell phones that can act as diagnostic devices, right? You can plug them in and you can actually sample your blood and determine disease states, for instance. You can use cell phones to track position, track temperature. You can do all sorts of scientific experiments on your cell phone. These are all things which people are coming up with unique and innovative ways to use a device which was developed and never thought of before in terms of what you could do with it. So what's interesting is that these are all things which take teams of people coming together to work on these particular challenges. But think of all the challenges which still remain, right? Someone posted in the chat about using solar panels. Why not, right? Rather than plugging this into the wall and converting 110 volts down to 5 volts to charge this up, why not have a solar panel built into this? But how big would that have to be? How efficient would it have to be in order to charge it? How do I make a battery which lasts longer in the phone? How do I make a battery that's easier to flip out of the phone. As many of you know, one of the challenges with these things is when the battery starts to wear out, which they do, what do? Phones, should they be disposable? Should we come up with a better way of making the sustainable technology in your phone so that you aren't constantly flipping your phone in order to get the latest features? How do you do that? What sort of opportunities are there in place? And so there's all these sorts of things. This is the future we're actually looking forward to, is what can you, as really the next generation of sort of makers and innovators and creators, can come up with ideas of what we can use and use these technologies for, right? This is where these challenging ideas come in, and it's up to you to come up with the opportunities. And I know there were some questions that's like, oh, this is beyond, I can't, oh, this is really, but this is what it's all about, right? It's about using your creativity, thinking out of the box and coming up with ideas. And that's why you're working together in teams, because you're all going to bring your individual skills to bear. So engineering, it's kind of like a passport. It's kind of like a ticket. It opens the doors to all sorts of opportunities. Many of you think as you go into engineering, I'm going to go in one particular direction. I'm going to become a software coder. I'm going to just do this one thing. But in reality, it opens up amazing opportunities, a massive number of career trajectories for folks, all sorts of different places that you can go with your skills to marry not only your technical skills and your science and your coding skills, but everything else that you're actually interested in doing, being creative. So it's all about this journey as you head on. It's going to give you you're going to learn a lot in the next couple of weeks, how to work together as teams, how to manage your time. That's a huge challenge. Actually, you should ask Blake and Mimi how time management skills are actually probably critical to success in university. But you're also going to learn how you're going to be able to work together. Everybody's going to have different skills. You're all going to complement yourselves. And in fact, what you're doing is a mimic of what we actually give our first year students in an engineering strategies and practices course in first year, where they solve kind of intriguing problems. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with one last thought. Engineering it's not just technology. It's really about working with people. It's a human discipline. We're designing solutions to problems that face us, and we need to involve us as part of that. We design for people, by people. It's all about the broader the perspectives we bring to the table, the better this and more appropriate the solution is going to be. You can imagine a solution built in Toronto for the Toronto context that may not work if I take it to Iceland. It may not work if I take it to Peru. It may not work if I take it into Indonesia, because there's a different context. So how do we bring those contexts in and help refine our solutions so it's optimized for the different regions where it may be applied? And so this is kind of the challenges that we face as engineers when we look to solve all sorts of different challenging problems. So I really hope this 2-week experience sparks a passion, sparks an interest, and really helps inspire you to pursue engineering, pursue these opportunities going forward. The more we can drive, the more sustainable our future is going to be. We have some big challenges out there, but little things are going to be the way that help us move these things forward and help to solve some of these particular challenges as we go forward. So with that, I'm gonna wrap up. Thank Mimi and Blake and others for the opportunity to speak today. Thank you for your participation. I'm really looking forward to the solutions you guys present in a couple of weeks. And I will turn it back and be happy to answer any questions you might have in general. So I'll hand it back to, I guess, Blake, do I hand it back to you now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you so much, Christopher Yip, for that amazing presentation and that talk. I think it's very inspirational for the students. And I really liked how you discussed what really goes into cell phones, right? I think that's very applicable also with this competition as well. You know, it's a much smaller scale, this competition, but you know, it's the idea of different components coming together to form one final product. I think that's a really good message. So we do have a bit of, no,
I was going to actually say, so an interesting thing that engineering is focused on, we're trying to figure out people turn over their phones all the time, right? And so there's lots of really valuable, not just your data, there's all sorts of valuable stuff in the phone. So one of the things we're focused on is how do you get the gold, the lithium, the copper, the nickel, all the materials in the phone now and recycle them to build the next phone, right? This is sort of a circular process. You don't want to have to go out and dig up another mine to get more nickel or more copper or whatever. Why can I not take a phone, grind it up, get all the parts, take those same parts and basically reclone the same phone physically because the same amount of material is in here. So how do I get that back? And that's a huge engineering challenge, actually, but it's one that we're working on in engineering now. One of the world leaders in recycling of lithium batteries, right now, is led by a graduate of chemical engineering, Ajay Kochar, called Li-Cycle. They just partnered with LG out of Korea on efforts to recover batteries, recover the materials from the batteries and use them to regenerate new batteries, right? So that you're not throwing them in landfill and you're not doing that kind of stuff. So this is a huge part of this circular sustainability economy that we're really focused on. People focus on plastics a lot, paper, but things that are way more toxic, like your phone, is an important area for us.
Yeah, very interesting. And I think it's a great, on the topic of like circulating materials, I think that that's also a potential idea that students can base their projects on. So we do have a few more minutes left. I do want to open the floor for any questions anyone has for the dean. Just message in the Q&A chat if you have any questions for him, and then we will ask him those questions. Just in the amount of time that we have remaining. Well, yeah, and feel free to follow the dean on Instagram and Twitter. He provided his information there.
Yeah, Naisha put a good point. There's a lot of cloud computing is it's a great way to do it, right? So you don't actually end up building your own versions of it, but they do turn those things over. And so a question is, how do you recover and repurpose that? As things become way more efficient and compute power goes up, you look at actually energy efficiency of hardware. So here's a real challenge for the coders out there, or those who think about coding. Did you ever think about the energy efficiency of your code? People are like, what are you talking about? So one of the big challenges is as you get further on, this is not, think about it, your code runs on the device and it consumes power as it's doing its calculations and stuff like that. If you write inefficient code, it's actually going to consume more power out of your computer, right? And so companies like Google and Amazon and Netflix and all those guys who write code to support their streaming services, they spend a lot of time figuring out how to make their code more energy efficient because it costs money to run on the cloud services. So there's actually a really interesting question is how many watts or kilowatt hours does it take to run your code? So I'll put that out there for those who are going to write a software app is figure out how much energy it takes to actually run your app. Like how quickly does your app drive down the battery on your phone? And you probably have seen this anyways, right? Like, when you run, if you're, streaming video on your phone, how long your battery lasts, right? So if you're someone like a Netflix or you're someone who writes the app for it, you don't want the app to use so much power that people will never use your app to watch the movie, right? So they spend a lot of time trying to make that energy efficient so that it lasts longer.
I actually have one question from Jonathan. He's asking, are engineers working on a way to create phones without using using materials from animal habitats?
That's an interesting question. You mean sort of like not using animal products to make your phone, or do you mean from not like dealing with disrupting the natural environment to get to the materials to make the phone? because so it is. So maybe I'll frame it this way: the environmental impact of getting the minerals or materials you need to make your devices is a huge concern right now, right? You can imagine a mine is an incredibly environmentally disruptive process, right? Digging up the mine, getting the, breaking the rocks to get the copper and so on. Like, it's really energy intensive and very environmentally destructive. So there's a lot of work that goes on in trying to figure out, how do I minimize that, which is part of this recycling question. How do I come up with better ways to get to where that mineral is without carving off the top of a mountain, right, to get to it, right? And how do I do that efficiently, energy efficiently, cost efficiently, and also without disrupting the environment around it? And also, this is part of an engineering discussion, is managing who lives around where those resources actually are, right? Who owns the land in which you're actually starting to do this kind of exploitation, or in whatever investigation and so on. It's a big challenge. Where there's lots of great minerals all the time, although it's incredibly difficult to get them. There's lots of gold in the ocean by volcanic vents coming out of the ocean. Tons of it is sitting there, but it's imagine how difficult it is to get to that, right? I've got to take a ship, go to the middle of the ocean, go down like kilometers and harvest it out of the ocean. So the cost of doing that versus finding a gold mine and digging it out of the ground is, these are interesting questions, frankly.
I have another interesting question if you have the time to answer it.
Sure.
If you have a good idea, can you sell it, and how?
So, yes. So, that's one of the big challenges is translating your idea, your prototype, whether it's a software prototype or it's a hardware prototype, into a viable product. And that's actually something in which we do show our students how to do as they go through the system. It's all about being an entrepreneur in a sense, is understanding what the market is for your product, how many people are going to use it, what it'll cost, all that kind of stuff. So these are actually kind of an engineering business problem to focus on. But in fact, yeah, you can do that. And we have actually lots, maybe you probably know, right? Lots of our students go through our entrepreneurship and the engineering hatchery to actually convert ideas, some of which they get out of their courses and their capstones and their first year projects. They roll them into actual products and opportunities. And there's lots of examples of students who've actually converted their stuff into viable companies that have raised real money to convert stuff, whether it's, there's a bunch of undergrads that built a project around a remote, software that could figure out whether or not you're having a heart attack, right? From a pulse monitoring that you could do off your phone or off your Apple Watch, to undergrads who came, or grad students who came up with ideas about new ways to do surgeries, all sorts of stuff, right? Students have new materials that they've invented that are now converting into companies. Sustainable, there's a company that's run by students in engineering, well, sort of engineering, but also tied to Scarborough, but around taking food waste and converting it into plastic, right? So you take the stuff in your compost bin, which is like all sorts of stuff, take it, break it down, and use the product of that, which is bacteria breaking it down, use the bacteria to create plastic, right? That you can then make into a coffee cup. So your compost gets converted into a coffee cup. What does that look like? That's a pretty awesome strategy. Then you're not taking petroleum products and you're making them into that. You're not finding oil and all that kind of stuff. You're just taking all the goop that's in your compost bin and making it into plastic. So there's a great product model.
Oh, that's a good idea. Maybe some of our students can try to do that in their project and
Sure.
present it to us. Yeah. All right. I think just for the sake of time, we're a little bit over, but thank you so much. And, as an engineering student myself, I fully understand the things. I actually, for one of my labs, with Professor Chan in my ops lab, we had to repurpose a medical dialysis and fix it and do an analysis on whether or not it was worth bringing back. So exactly what you said right there. So it was really cool. Yeah.
Actually, I'll leave everybody with one last thought on sustainability, although it's very timely. Think about all the rapid tests that people are doing right now for COVID, if you ever took apart one, not when after you've used it, but anyways, you take it apart, it's 2 pieces of plastic and a piece of paper, right? And then where does that go when you're done with it? Right? It ends up, and there's millions of those being used constantly, plus all the little vials and all that kind of stuff. That's all waste. Now biohazardous waste, obviously, right? So what do you do with all that stuff? Just think about all the single-use plastic that's tied up in the rapid test right now. And that's a huge, huge ongoing challenge for the world, actually. it's all these rapid tests. That's why the recent announcement of a breath-based test for COVID is actually really cool. Just for not having to stick
really cool.
Yeah, just so you don't even have to stick a swab up your nose. I mean, that was one of the biggest problems initially for COVID, was supply of that swab, right? Early on in early 2020, people could not get enough of those swabs.
Yeah.
And that's just
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so that was a great talk, I have to say, lots of relevant stuff. But we will be ending the ceremony now. So Blake, would you like to take over?
Yes, thank you everyone for coming to the opening ceremony. I know we went a bit over time, but interesting discussion, so it was warranted. But before we leave, we do have a lot of questions. We did have a lot of questions in the chat. So if you still have any questions, or if you didn't have any questions that were answered, please ask us on Discord or via email. We're going to be checking those regularly throughout the competition. So yeah, if you have any remaining questions, just let us know in those platforms. And then we will all see you in the coding workshop today from 3 to 4 p.m. Yes, we will all see you there. So yeah, again, it's hosted by Jacob Taylor. Really cool stuff that he does, astronomy instrumentation, very cool. So yeah, take care everyone. See you all in like an hour or something. Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.